Welcome to the Black Box tonight. We're unlocking a case that continues to haunt the internet, a story so bizarre it feels like it was ripped from a horror movie script. We're heading to downtown Los Angeles, to a place with a reputation so dark, it's been called the most haunted hotel in America. This is the story of the Cecil Hotel and the tragic, inexplicable death of Elisa Lam. The Cecil Hotel opened its doors in 1927, and from the very beginning, it seemed cursed. It quickly became a hotspot for the city's lost souls, a place where people checked in but didn't always check out. Over the decades, its rooms and hallways have been the scene of countless tragedies, suicides, and unsolved deaths. It became a magnet for darkness, a place where the desperate and the disturbed found a temporary home. Its most infamous long-term resident was none other than Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. He lived on the 14th floor in the mid-1980s, reportedly returning to his room covered in blood after his brutal crimes, completely unnoticed among the hotel's chaotic atmosphere. Another serial killer, Jack Unterweger, also stayed at the Cecil, paying homage to Ramirez. The hotel's history is a long, grim catalog of human misery. So, when a bright, adventurous 21-year-old Canadian student named Elisa Lam checked in on January 26, 2013, she had no idea she was stepping into a place with such a malevolent past. She was on a solo trip across the West Coast, documenting her journey on her blog, full of hope and excitement for the future. She was supposed to check out on January 31st, but that day came and went. Elisa Lam had vanished. Her parents, back in British Columbia, grew frantic when they didn't receive her daily phone call. They immediately contacted the Los Angeles Police Department, and a search began. Police scoured the hotel, using scent-sniffing dogs, but found no trace of Elisa. It was as if she had simply disappeared into thin air. The investigation was going nowhere. Frustrated and desperate for leads, the LAPD made a decision on February 13th that would turn the case from a local mystery into a global obsession. They released the last known footage of Elisa Lam, a grainy, unsettling video taken from one of the hotel's elevator security cameras. The 4-minute video is profoundly disturbing. It shows Elisa entering the elevator alone. She presses a series of buttons, seemingly for multiple floors, but the elevator doors don't close. They remain wide open. Elisa peeks out into the hallway, looking left and right, as if she's expecting someone, or perhaps hiding from someone. She darts back into the elevator, pressing herself into the corner, trying to make herself invisible from whatever might be outside. Still, the doors refuse to close. Then, her behavior becomes even more bizarre. She steps out of the elevator and into the hallway. She stands there, her arms and hands moving in a strange, almost choreographed way. She twists her fingers, waves her hands, as if she's talking to someone, or something that isn't there. It's an eerie, silent conversation. After this strange ritual, she walks off to the left, out of the camera's view. A few moments later, the elevator doors finally slide shut and the elevator moves. This was the last time anyone saw Elisa Lam alive. The video went viral, and the world became obsessed with deciphering her final, terrifying moments. What was she seeing? Who was she talking to? While the internet was exploding with theories, a new and grotesque problem was developing back at the Cecil Hotel. For about 2 weeks after Elisa's disappearance, guests started to complain. The water pressure was unusually low. Worse, the water coming out of the taps was discolored, almost black. It had a foul, sweet, and disgusting taste. One couple from the UK said the water was horrible, but they brushed their teeth with it and drank from it, assuming it was just a problem with the hotel's old plumbing. The complaints mounted until February 19th, when a maintenance worker was sent to investigate the source of the problem. His journey led him to the roof of the hotel. On the roof stood 4 large cylindrical water tanks, each about 10 feet tall. These tanks supplied the water for the entire hotel, for the guest rooms, the kitchen, and the coffee shop. The worker, armed with a ladder, climbed up to inspect the main tank. He lifted the heavy, circular lid and peered inside into the dark water, and that's when he saw it. Floating face up, naked, was the decomposing body of Elisa Lam. Her clothes, the same ones she was wearing in the elevator video, were found floating in the water beside her. The mystery of her disappearance was solved, but the horror was just beginning. The guests who had been complaining about the black, foul-tasting water had been drinking, bathing and brushing their teeth with water contaminated by a decaying human body for weeks. The discovery of Elisa's body in the water tank didn't provide closure. It only created a new set of impossible questions that investigators and internet sleuths have been unable to answer to this day. First, how did she even get to the roof? The rooftop was a restricted area. The only ways up were through locked doors that were equipped with alarms. Hotel staff testified that the alarms were working, and if someone had forced a door open, it would have triggered an alert at the front desk. No alarm was ever recorded. Second, how did she get inside the water tank? These were massive industrial cisterns. To get to the top, she would have had to climb a 10-foot ladder, which wasn't even there. Maintenance had to bring their own. Then, she would have had to lift the lid. These lids are incredibly heavy, weighing around 20 pounds, and are designed to prevent contamination. It seems almost impossible for a petite young woman like Elisa to lift it, especially from an awkward position on top of the tank. But the most baffling question of all is this. If she did manage to get in, how did the lid get closed again? The maintenance worker found the lid closed when he discovered her. It's physically implausible that she could have climbed in, pulled the heavy lid over the opening, and sealed herself inside from within the water. The logistics simply don't make sense. The official autopsy report only deepened the mystery. The coroner found no illegal drugs or alcohol in her system, ruling out intoxication. There were no signs of physical trauma or assault on her body. Her death was ultimately ruled an accidental drowning, with her bipolar disorder listed as a significant contributing factor. The official explanation suggests she had a psychotic episode, managed to get to the roof undetected, climbed into the tank, and drowned. But for many, this explanation feels far too simple and leaves too many critical questions unanswered. As internet detectives dug deeper, they unearthed a series of chilling coincidences that made the case feel even more like a supernatural thriller. They discovered a 2005 horror film called Dark Water. The plot is eerily similar. A mother and daughter move into a rundown apartment building, experience paranormal events, and discover that the building's black murky water is being contaminated by the body of a young girl who drowned in the rooftop water tank. The parallels are uncanny. But the strangest coincidence of all relates to a bizarre event that occurred in the Skid Row area near the Cecil Hotel around the time of her death. There was an outbreak of tuberculosis. The name of the test kit used to diagnose this specific strain of tuberculosis. It was called the LAM-ELISA test. LAM-ELISA, her name. The coincidence is so specific, so on the nose, that many believe it can't be just a random twist of fate. Was Elisa Lam's death a tragic accident, the result of a severe mental health crisis in a dangerous place? Or was there something more sinister at play? Was she followed? Was there someone else in that hallway, just out of the camera's view? Did a hotel employee or another guest play a role in her death? The Cecil Hotel has since been rebranded, trying to escape its dark past, but the story of Elisa Lam remains fused to its identity. Her case is a modern-day ghost story, a digital-age mystery fueled by a single piece of haunting footage and a set of facts that refuse to add up. The police have closed the case, but for the millions of people who have watched that chilling elevator video, the questions linger. We may never know what truly happened on that roof, or who or what Elisa Lam was talking to in her final moments. The case remains open in the court of public opinion, a dark, unsolved puzzle locked away forever in the black box. Thanks for watching. If you found this case as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into the world's greatest mysteries.